So whilst we are waiting for the 26-man final squad, Calvin Riches, a member of the Jeffrey Schlupp management team, went on Snapchat and broke the news that Jeffrey Schlupp has been dropped from the final Black Stars 26-man squad. And it also came up that Joseph Pinto, one of Ghana's best player in the 2021 AFCON, has also been dropped alongside Felix Afenejan. A lot of names came up, and then it came that Daniel Efriye Barnier Accra House of Oak has been added to the final squad. The Phobians were happy because any day that Barnier spends in Qatar, the club will be getting $10,000. But the wait is finally over as Black Stars coach Otto Addo is set to announce his final squad at the multi-choice office here in Accra. Ghanaians are waiting, and we are also here to try and go through the list. But yesterday, another bad news: Richard Ofori, Jojo Wallacott, Baba Idrisu were all reported to have been pulled out of the World Cup. And there comes Danlad Ibrahim, who, according to reports, has been pictured leaving Ghana to go and join the team in Abu Dhabi. This is GhanaWeb Mundia. My name is Joel Shen, and today I have Samuel Ziga Frank Dakwa here as we try to go through the list and then assess all the other things. But we will also be crossing and then go to the multi-choice office to bring you the live coverage of Coach Otto Addo as he brings us the final 26-man squad. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Welcome back from the break. This is GhanaWeb Mundia put together for the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Today, Otto Addo will be announcing his squad for Qatar 2022. But before we cross carpet, I have Frank Dakwa, photojournalist, and then one of my seniors at Radio GIG and then GIG, Samuel Ziga. Ziga Dakwa, thanks for joining me here.
Well, good to be here.
On Sunday, we had the news. I saw your tweets, Jojo Wallacott, Richard Ofori, and then Baba Idrisu. How can we recover from this, considering the players who can replace these ones?
Well, I think it's quite unfortunate to be hearing such news, even though it's not confirmed. But then, obviously, when there are rumors like this, there should be an iota of truth. So it's very unfortunate, especially with our goalkeeping aspect, because you agree with me that, yes, we've been struggling when it comes to the goalkeeping aspect of the Black Stars. And so just when it looked like we are settling on Jojo Wallacott, who is also doing quite decent at club level, this unfortunate thing then happens to him. It's very unfortunate. With Richard Ofori, I'm not so sure, but I'm very convinced he's going to make the squad. Yes, he missed their last game over the weekend, but then yeah, from sources and other things, I think he's actually going to make the squad. Yeah, so we are just hoping that if Jojo and Ofori are not. And Baba Idrisu also, yeah, Baba Idrisu also was on the bench. It's quite surprising because over the weekend he was on the bench, but then there's this news that he can't make it. Exactly. So we are just waiting for the official list from Otto Addo this afternoon, and then we can take it from there.
All right. So Sammy, Frank has already spoken about the goalkeeping problems that we all know we had, because you hear people say, "Oh, our midfield, we don't have an issue. Partey is on top of the world now. Defense, we have Salisu, Jiku, and Mate. Goalkeeping was our main concern. Now, if these reports are anything to go by, it means that we will be going to Qatar without our first and then second choice goalkeeper, Ofori, and then Jojo Wallacott. How do we fill this void?"
Well, it's a tough task, if you ask me, especially in an area where we've lacked quality. With all due respect to the goalkeepers we have in this country, it's a place where we've not really been consistent over the last 3, 4, 5 years. Richard Ofori, when it looked like he was cementing that spot, then boom, he got injured and has not really worked his way into the team. Then we had Jojo Wallacott. I mean, we all thought that after seeing us through the qualifying stages, going to the AFCON with him, and then playing that playoff against Nigeria, he was going to cement his spot. I mean, he made a big move to Charlton Athletic in the championship this season, thinking that that would be, you know, a huge stepping stone for him to gather all the momentum going into the World Cup. Then, unfortunately, nature came calling. Injury to him, which is a big blow. I'm told he's really gutted. This is something that you wouldn't want any player to experience. The World Cup comes every 4 years, and then if you have an opportunity to go and then something comes your way, it's something really very difficult to come by. But of course, you talk about the goalkeeping department again, and we have okay goalkeepers. I know people are going to come at me when I say this, but I have to be brutally honest. We don't have a goalkeeper who is that commanding, you know, in the face of things. Like back then we had Richard Olele Kingston. We can say, look, this is a goalkeeper that can command a starting bed. I mean, lead from the back. Everything you want in a modern day goalkeeper, or in a short stopper, you get it from Richard Olele Kingston. Then you go to the bench, you have a certain Samir J. You get it. You get the quality in that setup. And then George Owu. These are goalkeepers that on any day can start as a number one.
Any of them.
Any of them. But you can't say same for this current couple of goalkeepers, which I don't blame them. I think that we as a country have not really
paid attention to that.
Exactly. The trajectory of footballers in this country has been a problem. I mean, from the under 17, under 20, under 23 to the Black Stars, we've not nurtured that process really well. Someone comes in, starts, does well, he goes, makes 1 or 2 mistakes, then we throw him out of the window. Yes, but we need to be consistent and intentional in our approach. And then that takes me back to a goalkeeper like Lawrence Atizigi. People have their own narrative about him.
Yeah.
But I think that there was a way we could have gone about it. This is a goalkeeper that took us to the 2015 World Cup in New Zealand. Under 20. And then
he
played under 17 as well. And this is a goalkeeper that is coming through an academy. Goalkeepers from academy have a way of playing, or have a way of, you know, putting themselves out. It's by no means a coincidence that he's a starter at St. Gallen in Switzerland.
Yeah. But you see with Atizigi,
yeah, he's not. People will say he's not really been lucky when it comes to the Black Stars. Yeah. But you know, the question is, and I go back to what is happening in the Premier League now with Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. Have the faith in the process.
Definitely.
Keep the belief in him. You know, when we make rash decisions, we're not going to get the right results. You understand? So a goalkeeper comes in, concedes 2-3, then we throw him out of the window, out of the bus. What are we doing to his confidence? But when he goes to the club level, he does exceptionally well. Well, I've heard from colleague journalists, like international journalists, who cover the game a lot, from the Swiss League, the Belgian League, and all that. And I've intentionally quizzed them about what they think about Lawrence Atizigi. And the answers marvel me. Like, I'm always marveled by the response I get. And this is a very good goalkeeper, but they can't really wrap their head around how Ghanaians see him, or how, you know, the Ghanaian media portray him. Right, that's one issue aside. Then you come to the Danlad issue. You know, talking about his height. I mean, how he came through the ranks under 17, 20, 23, and now people are calling for his inclusion in the Black Star. I think how we go about our goalkeeping business in this country is questionable.
How?
It's questionable in the sense that we give a goalkeeper the chance, then the next minute we are throwing him out of the bus. Exactly. You know, they are human beings, and these are people who work a lot within a short frame. So a goalkeeper has 90 minutes to prove himself. Ordinarily in Europe or in a well-established jurisdiction, it's not done that way. But a classical example is Leicester's goalkeeper, Ward.
Yeah.
He started the season really poor.
It was very terrible.
Conceding left, right, center. For now, he's got 6 clean sheets.
Clean sheets. But you see, the concerns from some other people is that club football, it's a bit different from national team, because at the club level you get ample times, many games that maybe will give you, because if you are struggling at the Edward Mendy, whilst Kepa was struggling, Ariza Balaga was given the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup games for him to also try and then warm himself up. And then when the opportunity came, he was able to walk in the team and then prove that he was a good goalkeeper.
Okay, permit me to cite. Okay, Frank.
Yeah, not to fight you. Okay. But then one thing we shouldn't forget. Let's take a goalkeeper like Olile. Yeah. Arguably, Olile is not. He's undoubtedly one of the celebrated goalkeepers.
He's the best I have seen.
Okay, the best we have seen.
But you see, that some people can make a case for
evidence.
But in terms of the Black Stars goalkeepers, I have seen.
Our generation.
Yes, our generation. I don't think that there is.
And if I were keeping for the Black Stars way back in 1996, so you should understand how he became Olile. It didn't take 2 games. It didn't take 3 games. The Olile we saw in 2006 had already kept the Black Stars in 1998 downwards. So it's not just about. That's why I agree with Ziga when he said it's not just about 90 minutes. You can't just take fine. Atizigi hasn't been lucky when it comes to the Black Stars. Maybe he has been a little bit patchy in the few opportunities that he's got. But then, obviously, in as much as there's not time for him to prove himself, it is very important for us to exercise
keep fit.
Exactly. He also had that ample time for him to command that #1 position in the Black Stars. So that was the more reason why I used Olile, for example. Olile kept the Black Stars for 10 continuous years before he became the Olile we saw. So I think it's just a matter of time. Atizigi is doing so well at club level. And so if for me he's selected to the World Cup, it's not far-fetched. Because he's one, if you line up 5 goalkeepers, Ghanaian goalkeepers in Europe or even across the globe, he's one of those who are performing.
Yes, absolutely.
Manaf Nuruddin. Yes, somewhere last season he was doing well. He was keeping the puts for open and all that. But then, this time around,
he's been struggling.
Over the last 10 games or so,
he hasn't played. He has been on the bench, and so you can't tell me you are going to select a Manaf who has seen a handful of games this season. You are going to select him ahead of a goalkeeper like Atizigi.
Okay, so you both are saying that we should keep faith with
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's keep faith with Atizigi. And if these reports are true that Jojo Walcott and Richard Ofori won't be available for the World Cup, it means that this might be the perfect opportunity for Atizigi to prove to Ghanaians that the performance against Mali, that international friendly game, was just one of days that goalkeepers do not get it right. So very soon we'll be crossing over to the multi-choice office as Black Stars coach Otto Addo to go to the semi-finals of the Mundial. Now in the midfield, Baba Idrisu, we've seen that in the last 2 or so years he has been the midfield partner of Partey. Now a lot of Ghanaians believe that this might be the best time we'll get Partey in the Black Stars, because this is the time that in his career he's making things happen. It seems everything he touches now is gold. Baba Idrisu, these same reports say that he won't make it to Qatar. Even if he is able to make it to the squad, maybe our first game against Portugal, he will not be able to start. Names are coming up again. Let's call Jeffrey Schlupp, even though it is not official that he has been dropped. Others, because he was also one of the lists that we heard won't be making the cut to Qatar. If Baba Idrisu is not available, Sammy, which player do you think that can fill the void that he will create in our team? Do we still stick with Abdul Salid Sameh because we've heard that he is in the squad, or even though he is there, we can bring one of these players in?
Joel, it's not about filling the void, but playing a system that will help the entire team.
Okay.
Baba Idrisu plays in a single pivot. I mean, sits deep whenever he's playing for the Black Stars. Like he always joins the back line and makes it five to some extent. Yeah, that liberates Thomas Partey in that midfield. Now we are struggling with his fitness. It's not about getting someone to come and replace Baba Idrisu in that system. How about playing a system that suits the entire team?
Yeah. Okay.
Because you could possibly have a midfield of Thomas Partey, Mohamed Kudus, Daniel Kofi or whoever who could play in that number 10, number 8 role.
Okay,
so you could have three players in midfield, and that could help the team
with Partey as the lone man.
So not a lone man in that sense, but so a 3-man midfield.
Okay.
Partey would not sit that deep as what we say with Baba Idrisu, but then you can have other players complementing him. Mohamed Kudus, Daniel Kofi or whoever plays on that left of the midfield could come closer to have a very decent passing ranges. That way you can have another ball carrier in Mohamed Kudus who could get the passes to that front line. Whoever plays in that front line, Inaki Williams, Jordan Ayew, Andre Ayew, Kamal Dino, whoever is chosen to play in that front three. So it's about having that system that works quite well for the team. But if you say you want a replacement for Baba Idrisu, I'm sorry, we might not have it. Salis has been decent, fantastic for Lens in the friendly league, but yet to see him in the national team setup. Sometimes it takes a bit of a while for players to warm themselves into national teams. Some also automatically get into the groove, like Anthony Annan.
Prince Boateng.
Yeah, exactly. Anthony Annan shared a very interesting story with me some weeks ago about his debut for the Black Stars. When he was told he was going to play for the Black Stars, he was going to play the game the next day, and he was so nervous. So he had to contact someone like Otto Addo. That, look, senior, I've been called to come and play this game, but this night I'll come to your room for some mentoring. Yeah. So that never happened because there were 1 or 2 meetings and all that. Yeah. So he said he called someone back here in Ghana to just motivate and encourage him. And then boom, the next day he played. And he was so exceptional. That's where he got the name Pablo. Yeah. And from there, he became a starter in the senior national team. So there are players, you just don't try them. Yeah. But there are some too, they need to warm themselves into the team and all that. That's Salih's situation. I don't know how he would, react. To starting with the Black Stars. But sometimes you just have to be cautious, especially when it's a World Cup.
Okay, Frank, let me bring you. My colleague Emmanuel Lenin has been making this argument over the last few years that Otto Addo is not allowing our team to play because of his idea of always having 2 DMs sit in front. So he doesn't give the players the freedom to play, because to him, we have very good players that on any day on the ball, Kudus, Mohamed, Kofi, he mentioned Pinto, Osman Bukari, Jordan. These guys can hold on to the ball very well in terms of transition and all that. But he believes that when we decide to play 2 DMs, it means automatically the idea going into that particular game is to defend. Now that they are saying Baba Idrisu won't be available, especially maybe our first 2 games or so, is it now time for Otto Addo to try a different approach to games and then maybe give the attacking players the room to operate?
Well, I think as a coach, you just can't stick to one style or one system. Depending on your opponent, you always have to adopt or develop a system that will actually suit your team and also help you win that particular game. Otto Addo, yes, as you rightly said, looks like he likes the 2 pivot style and all that. We saw it evidently when we played against Nigeria in Abuja. Yeah, when in the second half he brought a player like Elisha Usu, who I've always maintained that as one of Otto Addo's favorites. I'm yet to follow his progress at club level, but then Otto Addo sees something we don't see. Yes, that's the more reason why he plays him in that system, or he prefers him or sees him as one of his favorites. So as I said, as a coach, you can't just maintain one particular system. As and when you move forward, as in the opponents you meet, you have to vary your tactics. And so if, let's say, we are going to face Portugal, you know Portugal is a very attacking team. Yes, obviously, you can also go in to attack a team like Portugal. You have to look at the strength of your team and try to contain the attacking prowess of Portugal. And so I feel, in as much as we might think he liked the defensive style of play, I still believe that, yes, it is important for him to also sometimes vary his tactics, as you rightly said. Yes, a player like Kudus Mohammed is different altogether when he comes to the Black Stars, all because of the role he gets at Ajax and the national team. It's two different roles altogether. So it is always important for Otto Addo to vary tactics and actually not stick to one particular style. And I think if such things are done, it's really going to help him grant results.
We are still here on GhanaWeb Mundial. We are waiting for Black Stars coach Otto Addo to take his seat as he announced the 26 players and men who will be representing Ghana at the Mundial in Qatar. Don't forget that a budget of 14.1 million was read in Parliament with the target of getting to the semi-finals of the competition. Ghana, we want to be the first African country building from 2010. It didn't really work in 2014. So we are hoping that we can jump over Portugal, South Korea, Uruguay, whom I think on any day, because of Inshallah and then revenge and all that, we should be able to manage the Uruguayan team. I'm doing this with Frank Dakwa, a photojournalist, Samuel Ziga, PR manager for Thomas Partey. He's also a journalist. You mentioned Mohamed Kudus. Kudus has been one of our best players in the last couple of years. In the AFCON, we were hoping that he was the one who was coming to save us after our first game didn't really go on. You know, you ask people at the FA, they say Kudus will come. Kudus never came. But I think that the problem people have with Kudus is they believe he holds on to the ball too much. Others are now also saying that since our strikers are not scoring, one of our most consistent winger who is also banging in goals might not be able to go to Qatar. So if Pentel is not going, we have Joseph Mohamed Kudus in the team. Why don't we try him as the number 9 and probably Inaki, just like he likes playing, to cut from the left and then attack?
Well, that's a bit of a tweaking of of the tactics there, if you ask me. Well, playing with the national team is quite different from playing in a well-structured system, as far as the club is concerned. Mohamed Kudus has thrived the past few months playing as a false 9. But it has its own effect. I mean, lately we had the Ajax fans and then faithfuls talking about how they've not been able to play quite well. You know, having Kudus in the false 9 system, people thought it was an agenda. But looking at it critically, there's always an effect on something. When you tweak tactics, you should be ready to pay the price for whatever thing you are sacrificing. So playing Kudus as a false 9 means that you either have Andre Ayew out of the team, or possibly Jordan Ayew out of the team. In that sense. So that I don't know if the managers would love to do, or the coach would love to do in Qatar. It's about putting your best foot in front. So then we come to Ghana. In a system where we don't have, you know, players who can carry the ball
forward.
Yes, forward. Kudus seems to be the only player that does that for our team. So are you going to sacrifice that and put him as a false 9 just because you want to get the goals?
Yeah, but if he can get us the goal, and then there is someone like Kofi Tre who can.
But once again, you have to consider the kind of players he plays around.
Exactly.
But obviously, you can't compare the quality we have in the Black Stars to that of Ajax. Right? Especially, let me take Thomas Partey for instance. Why do we always say Partey plays so well when he's in Arsenal? It's because he plays with a certain Xhaka. he plays with a certain Bukayo Saka.
Is it not also because of the system?
The system plays parts. In as much as the system play, you have to get good players, the quality to play that particular system. And so if you don't have that quality, it's difficult to actually execute your system. So Kudus, for instance, Ayas, he's playing as a false 9. He's playing together with Tadic. He's playing together with Begwan. He's playing together with Klassen. These are quality, right? On any day, they will deliver. But he comes to the Black Stars, and you could see that I remember I watched Kudus in one of the Black Stars games, and he looked frustrated.
Yeah.
It was like he felt, I don't know, I wasn't on the pitch, but I felt he was doing everything by himself.
Yeah, the other players were not on the same level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He felt he was doing everything. He looked very frustrated. Yeah. But it shouldn't be so. And so it is very important to consider the kind of players, your player or let me say your playmaker plays around.
And it's about the consistency too.
Yeah.
So, for instance, at club level, you always have 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of preseason. So the players are so tuned to the same system. They are used to it. So I know when I get the ball, when I stretch a pass, obviously there's someone who is running up front to get it. But with the Black Stars, where they have logically 4 or 5 days of training, you don't expect them to understand each other really well. The telepathy is not there. It becomes a problem.
Okay.
That's why I'm a bit coy on our chances at this World Cup, because look, we have just less than a week to prepare. Different players all together. That's why I'm emphatic about this statement. Take your informed players to the World Cup at this stage. By so doing, they carry that form at the club level. They translate it to the national team. You don't need a bench warmer. You don't need an injured player, an injury-prone player, or a player who is now coming back from injury in your team. No, there's not the time to do that. Get a player who is on top form, who has the rhythm, and is bringing that momentum from club level to the senior national team. That's what can save us at this point in time, and nothing else.
That is what can save us. We've talked about the players who are injured. Now we go to specific departments, midfield, attack. And then in attack, there is one player that we can't talk about, the Black Stars, without bringing him into the conversation. That is Joseph Pinto. 14 games, 6 goals, and then 8 assists. I watched him over the weekend. As investors, we watch everywhere. Now we are able to screen the leagues even more than the technical men. We watch even the leagues in Asia and China, and he was brilliant. And as Ziga said, take your best informed players to the Qatar 2022. We will be having Joseph Pinto. Nothing is official yet. Joseph Pinto, Jordan Kamadin, Sulemana, Inaki Williams, Osman Bukari, Fatawi Sahaku, and all these guys as the base for our attack as we wait for the final squad. So let me ask you this. If we are to set up maybe in a 4-3-3 formation with both Partey, Tre, and then Kudus in the midfield, which players will be your front men?
Yeah, as Ziga rightly said, when it comes to the national team, especially at this crucial point in time, you need to look at your players who are on form. Your informed players are the only solution. You can't build, systems now. You can't try to gel the players now. You have to look at those informed. And obviously, you can't take away the fact that Joseph Pinto, Inaki Williams are all on form currently at club level. And so if you are considering players to lead your attack in a 4-3-3 system, you can't go without these 2 players. You can't go without Joseph Pinto. You can't go without Inaki Williams, who has 5 goals. Pinto has 6 goals so far this season. And obviously, they are your top scorers this season. And so you can't look beyond them. And so definitely, if you are going for a 4-3-3 system, you look at Joseph Pinto, you look at Inaki Williams, and maybe you might consider Jordan Ayew because of his work rates at Crystal Palace and what he's doing there. I mean, in as much as he received the kind of bashings and criticism and all that, he's been excellent at club level. Yes, he's not scoring. That was the more reason why he's now been deployed as a winger, because the coach sees him in a different way. I mean, he excels there in that particular position. And so, yes, personally, if you ask me, I would obviously go for, I mean, Inaki Williams, Joseph Pencil, and Jordan. Yeah, Kamaldeen, we haven't seen him this season. He's been struggling with injuries, he's been struggling with game time and all that. And so you can't really make a case for him. And even at the few times he's played for the Black Stars, we are yet to see what he can really offer. No doubt, he's an excellent player. He's a talent. Personally, I always vouch for him. I always make noise about him because I believe in talent, and I feel he's one of the talents we have, I mean, currently in the Black Stars. And so if we have a player like that going into the World Cup, it's really going to help. But as to whether his form, I mean, his having that kind of form we would need at the World Cup is another question. And so I will possibly or probably look at these three players I mentioned: Pencil, Inaki, and maybe Jordan.
All right, I want to ask you this before I go to Ziga. You mentioned Jordan, Inaki, and then Pencil. If somebody is watching us and then that person, because that argument will always come. At Crystal Palace, it seems their problem is not goal scoring. But in our team, our problem is goal scoring. So if you have Inaki Williams, who is getting the goals, Jordan is not creating much and then he's not scoring. If you have somebody like maybe Bukari, who is also in good form in the UEFA qualifiers, he was scoring some amazing goals and then helping Red Star Belgrade. Between these two, I want to understand, what does Jordan bring on board that match that we will have to sacrifice a winger and then push him there?
So you would agree that Jordan, a player like Jordan, has seen it all.
Yeah.
This is the second time at the World Cup. I mean, the World Cup is a big stage. It's not, you asked. I quite remember an interview I watched about Prince Tego when he was talking about his experience at the World Cup. His first game he played at the World Cup against Serbia. He explained how nervous he was, how he was under tension and all that and even in that particular game he received a lot of bashing because many Ghanaians felt he didn't put out his best. And so I'm saying that the World Cup is a very big stage, and so if you are introducing a player who is new to this particular atmosphere of the World Cup and all that, it's very important to be cautious. It's very important to introduce him gradually. Yeah, Jordan has seen it all. He has played at this stage before. He played in 2014 and all that. He played against top side and all that. And so it is very ideal if you start a player like Jordan. And apart from the fact that he has the experience and has seen it at the big stage, you could also consider his performance at club level. Yes, he's not getting the goals. That was why I made in my earlier suggestion that yes, that was the more reason why he's been deployed as a winger this time around. When he went to Palace, he was an out-and-out striker.
Yeah.
He was leading the lines. But then yes, Patrick Vieira saw that this is not the kind of striker I want. But then he saw something different Jordan can offer his team. And then he moved him to the wing. And he's been doing excellent so far when he was deployed in his new role. And so, yes, Bukari is doing well at Red Star and all that. He started the season very well, very well, scoring goals and all that. But in the latter part of this season, you would agree that his form has dipped. Yes, he has dipped. Even though he started the season very well, he has dipped in form currently. Not to say he's a bad player. He's an excellent player. Even the few opportunities he's played.
Okay, so as you can see on your screen, Black Stars coach Otto Addo is currently making his way to the multi-choice office as he prepares. The world is waiting for him. Ghanaians all over, in the streets, offices, at the beach, everywhere, at the market square. Our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, the journalists, the media, the world is waiting to see which 26 men will be representing Ghana at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Don't forget, our target is simple. With a $14.1 million budget, our target is semi-finals. You know, the minister did a fantastic breakdown. When we get to the round of 16, we will spend this quarter, we will spend it semi-final. So I want you to finish, then I move to Ziga.
Yeah, so as I was saying, at this particular point in time and this particular stage, you would always, I mean, try to rely on experience. It's very important. Yeah. Many are wondering why we are taking a player like Ayu to the World Cup. I mean, experience counts. You can't go without experience, and so that is where Jordan, in a way, has an advantage over a player like Bukari.
You heard Frank Dakwa. Before I move to Ziga, let me read some of the messages coming in. This one is from Kweku Entry, hoping for the coach to get it straight, not bent. So he's trying to say that Otto Addo, don't follow the steps of CK Akono. You let, in quotes, people control you when you are out, then you come and tell us a different story. We don't want that. You should be straight. This one is from KSNG. Really want to see Yaboa in the squad. Mohamed Fatao, thanks for the great job. OAT. When is the program starting? We are waiting for the Ghana Football Association to start. Then we will cross over to give you the live coverage of the squad announcement. Danny Ekuma, at the end, we will support the Black Stars. True, Ghana is the only team we have. So regardless, we will still support them. But if things are not going right, we have to point it out. Samuel Boatin, someone I can't take. Rashid Okansi. Frank, you have a message here. Jordan does not bring anything on board, my brother. Appear Sapon when they will start soon. So, Ziga, let me bring you in. Your 3 men up front will be who?
Well, it was quite interesting that Frank was talking my mind here. I love informed players. I want us to go to the World Cup with our informed players. So on the right wing, but I'll do a few tweaks to his selection. On the right wing, I'll put Jordan Ayew there. On the left, I'll put Joseph Pinto there. He's a very versatile winger, can play on the left, right, even in midfield, in that number 10 role. Then you have Inaki Williams leading the line over there. The reason being that you need players with legs.
Correct.
Exactly. We are going to play a tournament where we are not going to be dominant.
We are going to chase the ball.
Yes. We won't out-bully the Portuguese. We won't out-muscle the Uruguayans. And we can't outpace the South Koreans. Yeah. So we need players that have the legs, have the zest, have the pace, and have the zeal. We saw Joseph Pinto against Algeria prior to the World Cup. Sorry, the AFCON.
Our last friendly game.
Friendly in Dubai. Yeah. We saw him at the AFCON against Morocco.
50 minutes.
He was brilliant. Yeah. Probably our best bet in that particular game. We watched him against Comoros when he came on. Yeah. Even against Gabon when he came on. There's that vibe around him. This is a player who can take on players. Yesterday I watched him in.
He doesn't.
In the Belgian Pro League.
That's the reason why I don't like Manchester United's Anthony. No
showboating. He's so direct.
Like Anthony gets the ball, a defender is coming, then he passes the ball. But with Pinto, that's one thing too I like about Gabriel Martinelli. Come, I'm bringing the ball to you.
That's what we need in this team at this point in time. No showboating. I mean, run at them, come back, defend as a unit, and that's what you get from these guys. When it comes to the defensive aspect, I trust Jordan Ayew on that.
Yeah.
I mean, press players, press defenders, and that's what we need. Play as a unit. So, Inaki, Pinto, Jordan Ayew, and I think we have a very solid front line. And if we have players who play like players who can play like them, that's fine. But it's the manager's choice ultimately to make. And we can sit here and make our suggestions. But what should be on top of the pool? Let's pick your informed players to the Mondial. No injured players, no sick players, no players who have been rusty. I understand some players have not had a bite of football for the past 3 weeks. Would the situation change at the World Cup? Or we are going to the World Cup hoping that players will get fit in time to play? No.
It didn't work for us in the AFCON.
Exactly.
And then I think in 2008, I still maintain that if Sheila Liasu had been fit for that semi-final game, and we pushing ACN in the midfield, we would have won.
That would have been it.
Because if you can check the highlights of our game against Cameroon in Accra, it was clear that we lost because they pushed Andre in midfield. That game didn't really work for him. And then we lost that semi-final game in the midfield. So for me, I don't subscribe to we taking players who are injured to major tournament because it doesn't work for us.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know, talking now about players who have been injured into competitions, we saw the same thing in 2013 with Antoniana Boakye in South Africa. Where we needed them most,
they were not available.
They were injured. Like, I'm reliably told that they were not injured from their clubs. I mean, Anthony told me particularly that he wasn't injured when he was in Spain. He was in Osasuna by then. He wasn't injured. But I think 1 or 2 games, these friendly games to the AFCON, that was when he got injured. Boakye Addo to say. But then there was a window to make those changes.
We take them out, we bring
that is where the medical team comes to play. If you know your job as a medical team member or as a team doctor, and you assess a player, you have to be brutally honest with the team and everyone involved.
But do they have that authority like in Europe? Because I think that if you go through the Premier League regulations, if a player is not fit, or if the doctor has not cleared the player and you are a coach and you use such a player, the FA will find you.
Exactly.
Here in Ghana Premier League, I've had a colleague friend who was playing for Ebusua Drafts, and then some scouts came to watch him. That particular day, he was injured. The doctor advised the coaches from using him because they wanted to, cash in on him. They used him in the game, and then he didn't perform.
And that's very unwise on the player's part as well. That's your career we are talking about. There are certain things you can't compromise. Your health as a footballer. You can go into a tackle, and that will be the end of your career. Opportunities come day in, day out. Someone might deceive you and say it comes just once. As a footballer, once you are kicking, even at 8:30, you can still have a bite at professional football. How old was Didier Drogba when he came to Chelsea?
Around 25.
Almost exactly.
After 25.
There are players who also made their careers blossom at the early stages of their football. So sometimes we deceive ourselves and say, oh, this chance, when it comes and goes, you are never going to get it. So that player,
the system.
To go and play at that point in time, that was really unwise.
The scouts came from, I think, Switzerland, but he ended up going to Asia.
The system is hot. He was eager to travel, so you can't.
That's why I was asking that the medical officers we have in our team, do they have that authority to tell maybe the technical handlers, or maybe
to advise them,
people at the FA, to tell them that this player can't be fit, so we shouldn't take him?
Yeah, Joe, that's why they are paid. I mean, that's their job.
Exactly.
You have to make the technical team know the situation of the player, because they don't have that expertise to actually know if the player is fit or not. It's your work. So if the player is not fit, you have to inform them. Right, so it's their job. So they play a big role. The medical team or the doctors of our national teams play a very big role when it comes to, confirming or selecting players to play in a particular game. And so I think it is something we should actually look at really, really well. As Ziga rightly said, we can't just take chances. We can't assume that this player might be fit in the next 2 or 3 days. So we are taking him. If he's not fit, he's not fit. He's not a player like Daniel Kofichire is still out. And if you check,
he was not on the bench against the
Exactly.
You know that the Europeans don't take anything
For
granted. I'm told he had fever, right? He had fever, but then someone might say, "Oh, fever." And I saw it because yeah, but then they won't take that risk. No. They won't take that risk. He's not fit. He's not well, so he's not going to play. And that's how things work for them. And I think that's something we should actually learn. If not, we would always be taking. I mean, injured players. Wakazu was taken to AFCON, and he never kicked the ball. Yeah.
We are still waiting for the GFA to begin their press conference. I don't know what. I'm told.
Well, maybe you might not want to say it. I'm told it's drama after the other. one drama after the other. I'm told
they are in the strong room.
No, I mean, you mentioned that you were going to announce the squad at 11.
At 11. Now it is
11.
30 minutes. 30 minutes past 11. We are still waiting for the GFA, as we showed you earlier. Otto Addo is already at the venue, so we are waiting. Maybe the 26 players are in his packet, so we are waiting for him to start mentioning them. Let me read this. Appear as Sapon Asante Fatao, I think he's talking about Isahaku, isn't getting much time, but undoubtedly he's a gem. Don't need him to play much time in Sporting, but can't dispute the fact that he is one of our brilliant players. Interesting. Rashid Okansi, Ghana is blessed with a lot of players. Why cry over injured players? This is what lack of preparing young ones as a nation comes with. Let's be serious as a nation. I think a lot of banters going on. And this one is Habibu Samed. Constantly they have to add Mubarak Wakasu. He doesn't understand that. Now let's talk about Inaki Williams. He has played 2 games for us so far. Asamoah complained bitterly during our game against Nicaragua that a striker makes the move, the pass doesn't go. And in the second half, when he decided to be the creator in the game, I think he gave us like 2 chances or so. We couldn't still get the goals from the chances he created. How do we get the best out of Inaki Williams? Because even Haaland needs supplies to score. Ronaldo, Messi. Every great striker we've seen in the game, or every great goal scorer we've seen in the game, he needs those moments. And Asamoah, I think 2 weeks ago, he said that game against Algeria in the 2015 AFCON.
Yeah. The malaria goal.
The malaria goal. He said that even though he scored from that chance, he was angry at some of his colleagues because that pass that Wakasu decided to play, he believes that if it was not a last minute, as in we're far behind time, they wouldn't have played that pass because they had so many opportunities in the game that they could have decided to set him up. Maybe they don't know. He says that if a game starts, regardless of the time, maybe the first minute or so, if a striker makes the run, you give him the pass. So how do we get the best out of Inaki Williams so that at the end of the day, it won't be like we brought in a high-profile striker and then we still couldn't get the best out of him?
Yeah, I think, Joel, it's all about understanding. That was why I earlier mentioned that you have to consider the kind of players you play around. But a player like Inaki Williams, you can go back and check his goals he's been scoring at.
Okay, so let me cut you. Let's cross over to the multi-choice office. Coach of the Black Stars, Otto Addo, is ready to give us the 26 players who represent us in Qatar. We'll be back.
Salis Abdul Samad, AC Lens. Mohamed Kudus, Ajax Amsterdam. Then we have Daniel Kofi Cherry, SC Freiburg. Daniel Bani Afriye, Hearts of Oak. Kamal Sawa, Club Brugge. Isahaku Abdul Fatau, Sporting Lisbon. Osman Bukhari, Red Star Belgrade. Iñaki Williams, Atletico Bilbao. Then we have Antoine Semenyo, Bristol City. Jordan Ayew, Crystal Palace. And we have Kamaldeen Sulemana from Stade Rennes. So, yeah, before we start with the questions and my answers, I would like to take a little bit insight in my thoughts. Maybe this will clear a little bit of the questioning and yeah, also all the rumors and speculations around. So first of all, I would like to say thank you. This is for the President believing in me from day one, letting me do my work how I want it to be. And this is surely the #1 circumstance I would like to have again. Every time when I work, I want to do it my way. This is very, very important because this is what's, for me, very, very important to be the face of the national team, that I can work my way. So the decision at the end is mine, although surely we as a technical staff decide things together. And we have very, very strong values to build a team, which are very, very important for us. So there are criteria on the pitch, but also off the pitch. And off the pitch criteria is surely, #1 is the readiness and the willingness to come and play for the Black Stars whenever you're called. It should be always a big honor. And I know as a player it always takes a lot of sometimes difficult circumstances, and you have to sacrifice sometimes because you're in between the club and the national team. You get injured. There are a lot of things happening which are not always going like the right way. You have to take sacrifices. But surely we expect this. We expect that you are trustful, because we know, and everybody knows in football, there's always a lot of happening, especially in the team. But the team for me it's not the family, but it's like a family. So everything which happens in the team should stay in the team. Sometimes we have discussions, quarrels, because there are hard tackles or whatsoever, but it should never go outside. I wouldn't have wouldn't have this, like say, open discussion when I have like a discussion with my wife to take it outside. It will stay inside the family, and we'll solve it inside the family. So it's a lot of things off the pitch which are very, very important, values which are important for us. And then there are things on the pitch, like performance in the national team, performance in your club, the trainings, then also my KPIs, my key performance index. So my style of play, what do I want to see, and I'm very, very flexible. So I want to have always in the squad variables which I want to use, because every game is different, and even in the games sometimes it brings different demands. So it could be at the end that I need, let's say, a tall striker, and I have to have it in the squad because I know this team is coming like this way or this way. Sometimes it's like maybe we're behind and we need wingers who are fast and can dribble. And if we want, let's say we have like 5 or 4 wingers who are right-footed, it's not the optimal thing I want to have, because sometimes I need also maybe a left one. Or let's say we have 4 left-footed wingers, then I need maybe somebody who's also right-footed, because he can cut inside, and then the fullback can overlap, and then the defender has to choose. Should I protect the cross, or maybe he can shoot? So I want to have a well-balanced team. Brings me to difficult decisions. So there are some very, very close decisions, and I'm very, very sorry for those who didn't make it on the team due to injuries or due to my decision. And surely I have the last word, because I know how I want to play. And it's just a pity, but this is football, and this is the job I took, and then I have to do the job well. I have to do everything well just to serve the country and to bring the best possible sport on the pitch, how I think it will be. And like I said, the president gave me the trust at the beginning, and we qualified. And yeah, I think it's always good to remember from where we are coming from. We are coming from not qualifying on 2018, and not so good AFCON. So, and I know surely we lost some games on the road, but this is the way it is. And if we take the right conclusions out of our losses, I think surely I'm humble enough to know we can lose against every team, but I'm very, very confident enough to know that we can win against every team. And yeah, this is what I wanted to tell you, just to bring a little bit of an insight about our decisions, which were very, very tight in certain positions, and hope everybody will understand a little bit more on how we put the team together.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a few minutes to take some questions. Coach, please take your seat. So you raise your hand, you tell us your name, your media house, and your question. Unfortunately, we do not have much time, so let's be as snappy as possible. Kojo Mensah.
My name is Kojo Mensah with the multimedia. All right. My name is Kojo Mensah Moshosho with the Multimedia Group. Coach, you talk about your KPIs on the field and off the field. So we've seen a player like Jeffrey Schlupp play regularly for his club, Crystal Palace, and then Joseph Pencil. So per your KPI, I want to know why these two players were not able to make it to your final squad.
Okay, I forgot to say something. I'm a person also very much on principles. And one principle is like, I wouldn't like to do to anybody what I wouldn't like them to do to me. So I hope you understand that I would like to talk about players who are not on the squad. Like I said before, I give you some reasons on the pitch and off the pitch. And they were well communicated to the player. So it's between me and the player. And for me, that's it. And they know why they are not in the squad. And like I said, it's very, very difficult to understand from outside. This one I understand very well. But it's not good, I think, to talk about a player and then maybe the player comes back. So this is, for me, this is kindergarten. Goes forth and back and this and that, and he said this and he said that. We had a talk between men, between us, and they know the reason. So very, very sorry. I don't want to go inside that. You know my principles, and yeah, you have to, maybe if you want to suggest, but he knows or they know why they're not on the squad.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting us here. Coach, thank you for the work you've done. I'm Gary L. Smith from the Multimedia Group, and I'd love to know to what extent did injuries, because we've seen a lot of other nations, release their squads already, to what extent did last-minute injuries change what I am sure was your list of players from the last time when you told us in Brazil, against Brazil and Nicaragua, you said about 70% of the team was known. So to what extent did recent injuries affect this final action? Thank you.
Okay. I know it's a little word, but I said maybe around. So I didn't say like 70%. I don't know how players are left from that games. What I can say, we purposely planned to do it on Monday the 14th because we knew things can happen. And it's a pity that some players got injured. And yeah, I really, really feel for them. Like, I got injured myself many, many times. Still, I was lucky to play the World Cup 2006 in Germany, and I can just imagine how they feel, and it's very, very bad. But yeah, like I said, we have a good squad. We have also good players who are on standby, and this is standby, that you are ready in case something happens. So we always instruct players to be ready, not to go on holidays or whatever, to be ready, especially also in the next week. We are praying that nobody else got hurt, but I know as a coach that a lot of things can happen, and we have to be prepared for that. I wouldn't like to go on the exact replacements. I think we have to concentrate on the 26 players who are there, and we have to help them, cheer them up to do their best at the World Cup. And like the President said before, I'm actually looking forward, and I like it. The discussion shows that how much the people love football, but I'm looking forward for us to use this momentum football to unite, to work together, the media with the players to support them, the people of Ghana with the players to support them, and not go too much about what could have been or what should be or everyone's opinion. We have to, this is the status now, and we need your support to succeed at the Mundial.
My name is Betty Yoss, and I work with GH1 TV. Now, Coach, what were some of the considerations that went into selecting, or I mean, with your final squad? And also, this is the best that you have. How far do you see this team going at the World Cup? Lastly, how do you feel about the energy currently surrounding the Black Stars?
Okay, let me start with the last question. I think the energy is always high. Everybody's looking forward to play at the World Cup. For a lot of players, the first time. So it's a big thing. I'm looking forward to play. It's the first time as a coach for me. So the boys look ready, I have to say, and even those who are not called, scoring goals, doing well. So like I said, we really had tough decisions to make. It's like, yeah, how far? It's difficult to say. So we have to take it step by step. The first aim is to survive the group stage. And like I said, I'm confident enough that I know that we can do it. We have a good squad. The players are very adaptable because, like I said, I'm a coach who can change within the game also tactics, and they prove that they can do it also. And so I'm happy to have these players. Which can, yeah, maybe use also my skill to adapt to the game and change. And if we can do this, we can get far. And the first question was. Yeah. So, like I said before, if I look on the squad before the match, but also during the match, I want to have different elements. And we have players who can, let's say, head well, who can shoot well, and who can dribble well. And the optimum is like a player who can do all at the same time. And but if it's not like this, we don't have a like world superstar like let's say Messi or so. But we have very, very good players who have very, very good weapons. So for me, it's very important if I put a team together that I have all the weapons. That sometimes from the defense you have maybe right-footed, left-footed. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. Sometimes like whatever number 6 position, you also need to have a tall guy maybe, and instead of maybe just small guys who can play football, tall guys who can defend, headers who's good on the ground against the ball. So I think we have all the elements, and this is how we put the team together. Surely in discussions with my technical staff, and I'm very, very happy that I don't have a technical staff which is aside me and saying yes to everything I say. They challenge me, this is for sure. And based on their challenge, I also sometimes switch my decisions. But it's good, and it's helping me. It's helping, I think, the whole staff to take the right decisions, and I'm happy for that.
Okay, thank you very much, colleague journalist. Unfortunately, we do not have time for more questions, but there will be an opportunity outside. So those of you who wanted to ask questions here, you can do that when we step out. Thank you very much, Coach. Wish you the best of luck. It's time to hand over to Tato from here.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we are back. This is GhanaWeb Mundia. Ejabo, Ejano, Wenya Abedru, Ghana 4. We are talking. The final 26-man squad has been announced by head coach Otto Addo. The media were very anxious to ask questions, but they couldn't get the opportunity to ask all the questions they wanted to ask. So briefly, I will go through the squad for you, and then we take it from there. We already established when we started the conversation that Jojo Walcott and Richard Ofori, they've been ruled out of the tournament. So Manaf Nuruddin, our hero in the Korean Cup, is in there. Danlad Ibrahim, and then Lawrence Atizigi will be our 3 goalkeepers for the World Cup. Defenders, Dennis Odoy, they call him the professor. Tariq, best friend. Daniel Amate, Joseph Edu, Alexander Jiku, Mohamed Salisu, Abdul Baba Rahman, Gideon Mensah will be our defenders for the Mundial. In our midfield, we have captain Onodie Odu Oho Ansana Yebonidi, Andre Ayew, Thomas Partey, Elisha Owusu, Salis Abdul Samed, Mohamed Kudus, and then Daniel Kofitre. And our attackers, we have Daniel Efriye Banye from Accra Hazavo, Kamal Suwa, Isahaku Abdul Fatau, Osman Bukari, Inaki Williams, Antoine Semenyo, Jordan Ayew, and then Kamal Din Sulemana. So these are our 26 players who will be going to Qatar to represent the Black Stars. So we will speak to my colleague. Okay, so let's switch and then get the reaction of some of the journalists.
Well, then, of course, when it comes through to the FIFA World Cup, it is also about that big, massive trophy. The question is, which nation is going to lift the FIFA World Cup trophy?
Hi, everyone. All right. All right, so I put out the list of the 26-man squad as announced by the head coach of the Black Stars. Quickly, let me go through again. The strikers, I have Daniel Efriye Banye, Kamal Sowa, Isahaku Fatau, Osman Bukari, Inaki Williams, Antoine Semenyo, Jordan Ayew, and then Kamal Din Sulemana. In our midfield, we have our captain, Andre Ayew, Deputy Thomas Partey, Elisha Owusu, Salis Abdul Samed, Mohamed Kudus, and then Daniel Kofi Tre. Defenders, Dennis Odoy, Tariq Lamte, Alidu Seidu, Daniel Amate, Joseph Edu, Alexander Jiku, Mohamed Salisu, Abdul Rahman Baba, Gideon Mensah. 3 goalkeepers, Nordin Abdul Manaf, Danlad Ibrahim, and then Lawrence Atizigi. Let me start with you, Ziga. Finally, we have our 26 men who will be going to Qatar.
Yeah, I mean, still a lot of controversies surrounding this.
Yeah, well, we'll go into that and then the responses that came from the questions.
A lot, because the general feedback from the public, from even journalists who were at the venue of the announcement, speaks a lot, speaks volumes. And if you find yourself in such a situation where journalists are asking certain questions, specific questions, it tells you there's a cause for alarm. This might not be our best team put out, but I think we could have done better on all fronts. We have the core. I think we have the core of the team. But if we really want to compete as a nation, then obviously what kind of signal are we putting out there? Because some of the selections, a coach can come out and say, yes, the decision is mine to make. It hinges largely on me. But if at the end of the day, there are loopholes in certain areas, then you create a room for a lot of criticism and then bad energy for the team. But that aside, you look at this team in its general sense, at least we can put out a very good starting 11 and then compete, provided the coach or the managers of the team or the handlers of the team do the right things. Starting from the goalkeepers department, it's still an open race, open space. Any of the goalkeepers in there could be starting, depending on what the managers or the coaches are thinking.
But shouldn't it be the case that Atizigi has been a constant name in there? So this should be his opportunity.
Yes.
Because it's clear that if Ofori and then Walcott was available, Danlad and Manap wouldn't be in the squad.
Yeah, it should. That should be the case. But as to whether the technical team have that confidence in Atizigi, even in our last couple of games, he wasn't even invited for our recent games. And so if your technical team don't have that confidence in you, then obviously it's going to be difficult. That's the more reason why Ziga said it's an open race for all the three goalkeepers, because it could be anyone in post. Because obviously our two best goalkeepers are not going to the World Cup. We wouldn't be having them because of injuries. And so realistically, you look at club performances and all that, it should be a goalkeeper like Atizigi, looking at how he's performed for St. Gallen in the Swiss League. But then, as I rightly said, if only the technical team have that confidence in Atizigi, then obviously he should be. But then, as to whether they will keep him as the first choice, as time will tell.
All right, so let's go through the list for the defenders. We have Tariq Lamte, Dennis Odoi, Ali Disedu, Daniel Amate, Joseph Edu, Jiku, Salisu, Baba Rahman, and Gideon Mensah. Any notable player who is missing?
No.
Yeah,
no.
I think it was obvious. We all expected these players to actually make the squad. A player like Ali Disalifu has actually really made a claim for himself. He's taking the opportunity he's been given so far in the Black Stars. In the last couple of friendly matches he played, we all saw his exploit. We saw how he actually played well, and so he's been rewarded with that spot in the team. And so I think with the defense, we all agree that, I mean, there wasn't any questions about our defense. Yeah, even though initially prior to this final 26, some of us were expecting certain defenders to actually make the 55-man squad, provisional squad, but then unfortunately a player like Patrick Fifi and all that, yeah, we were expecting them to make, but then they didn't make it. And so this particular defensive setup is quite okay, and I think we don't have any problem. We expected it.
In our midfield, we have Andre, Thomas Partey, Elisha Owusu, Salis, Abdul Samed, Kudus, and then Trey. We have three defensive midfielders in our midfield.
Yeah, I mean, three defensive midfielders, but not three defensive midfielders in its whole sense, because a player like Thomas Partey is not really, he's not your regular defensive midfielder who will run into tackles and all that, but sometimes he adds, some of his technical abilities going forward. Someone like Salid Samed is someone who sits in front of the back line, more like an Idris Baba type of player. So these are two players that it will largely depend on what tactics the coach wants to deploy. If he wants to play, a single pivot, or want to do a double pivot or whatsoever, we have the materials for him to do that. It's all about how you deploy the players on the pitch. And I don't know, but sometimes a coach should be brave enough. If I want to go with a single pivot, these are the players I need around. If I want to go with a double pivot, it means that I want to defend. I'm going into this game with that kind of mentality.
To defend.
Exactly. So it will depend on the mood and what the coach wants to do on a particular day. And I don't see us having problems in that realm. With the midfield, the only alien name here is Salih Summit.
Yeah.
And the rest, we've seen them in the national team colors. Daniel Tre, Kudus, Andre Ayew, Thomas Partey, Elisha also.
Do you feel the same about the midfield?
Yeah. I think by the injuries that we had, we are missing Idrisu Baba, which is quite unfortunate. I think apart from that, we expected him to actually name something similar midfield like this. Even though, I mean, we have, as we saw in the video, I mean, questions were asked about Jeffrey Schlupp and all that.
When we go to those questions.
So I think it's a midfield, a decent midfield, I must say.
So when we are done talking about the strikers, we'll take a quick break and then we come back to talk about the questions that was raised and all that. Our attackers, Efriye Banier, Kamal Soa, Isahaku, Bukari, Williams, Semenyo, Jordan, and then Suleiman. Let me start with you there.
Yeah, I think with attackers, yes. But then
do you have the firepower?
I am not so sure about we having the firepower because yes, Zika said there are loopholes, and so I can't actually stick my neck out for that target because if you look at the squad, that is the most important part. Apart from the goalkeeping aspect, it's one department. The attacking aspect is one department, which is very important when ahead of this particular World Cup. Yes, Inaki Williams is actually doing his best at club level. He's scoring, and you watch through the attacking list, and he's actually the only player scoring currently at club level, which should be a worry. Because yes, you might not know what will happen. So if Inaki is not around, who are you going to depend for goals? And so it is. I can't stick my neck out for the attacking department. Yeah, but then we just hope to see the best from them.
There are 8 attackers.
Yeah. Ideally, you would see that a coach would want to go into a competition with his best attackers. Yeah. And you look around this attack and you ask yourself if there's a hitch, an injury or whatsoever, a player is carded or something, who and who could fit into it. So that should be the general, idea going into selecting your strikers. And we have 8 of them here. I mean, Daniel Efriye Banier, Kamal Soa, Ishaku Fatau, Osman Bukari, Antoine Semenyo, Jordan Ayew, and then Kamaldeen Sulemana. My biggest worry is the goal distribution amongst all these players. Whether we can have them get us the goals that we need. Our previous competitions, we've had, especially in 2006, where we had Razak Pimpon, Matthew Amo and Asamoah Gyan leading the line. In 2010, we had players like Prince Tego, Asamoah Gyan, Dominic Adia, who had just come from the Under-20 World Cup as, the leading scorer over there. And on any day, these are players that could get you their goals. And they were scoring at their club level. The momentum they were carrying to that competition was phenomenal. In 2014, we had a certain Jordan Ayew, Abdul Majid Waris, who was in his pump at that era. Yeah. I mean, one of his the best moments of his career ever.
Was in 2014.
2014. I mean, but same cannot be said about this team. Yeah. The vibe is all dependent or hinged around Inaki Williams for the goals. Yeah. And that's where if you don't have the supplies coming through to him, we'll find ourselves wanting. But, well, we have to be positive about this team. Yeah. I mean, possibly we could get the goals from our midfielders.
Before I take the break, let me ask this to the 2 of you. We go through the attackers. There is Daniel Efriye Banier leading the Black Galaxies and then the local Black Stars and all that. Now, people's concern is that, are we just taking him there or he will be given the opportunity to play? And people are asking these questions because even the game against Nicaragua that we thought we will give Barnier an opportunity to play. He came in for just maybe a minute.
30 seconds.
I'm not sure he touched the ball.
30 seconds.
So now, people are asking, if Otto Addo couldn't trust a free Barnier against Nicaragua, what are his chances against Portugal, Korea, and then Uruguay?
Well, Joe, someone will say yes. Not all the 26 players are going to play.
No, but I'm asking this because of we don't know what will happen.
Exactly. Yeah,
so we assume that every member of the team should be able to play when we call on him.
Exactly. So, that was the more reason why we were looking for questions. It's rather unfortunate. I mean, Otto wasn't allowed, or the communication director didn't allow journalists to actually ask, I mean, the questions they will be. Because I know all these questions would have popped up. Because even in the game against Nicaragua that you are saying, he came on and played as a left wing back. So you can imagine a player who we watched in the Ghana Premier League, who we thought, yes, he didn't play against Brazil, fine. It's Brazil, yes. So it's you understand. But then against a team like Nicaragua, coming on to play less than 2 minutes, less than a minute, and even deploy him as a left wing back, it should raise questions. And so I don't know the reason why, the main purpose or the main reason why Efie Barnier is being taken, is being taken, maybe to appease fans or to appease Ghanaians. Yes, we have 2 players.
But is it about appeasing Ghanaians?
Exactly, that's where the questions come. That's where the questions comes in. Because this is the World Cup. I mean, we need our best at the World Cup, right? And so if you take a player you are not so much confident in to the World Cup, meaning you don't know what you are doing as a coach.
Do you think that it's just a case of Has one, Kotoko one? I want us to get this before we delve into the issues that was raised by the journalists there and then on social media.
Joe, you know, sad enough, if I want to say what I want to say, I might find myself in trouble because sometimes, you know, there's a clarion call that we need local players.
Yes.
I have my own reservations about calling for local players in the national teams because I have somehow worked closely with scouts, agents, and even clubs outside. And the impression is that our local players need a bit of a time to get into the system. For now, I can stick my neck out and say, we don't have any local-based player who qualifies to play in any of the top 5 leagues in Europe.
Okay.
They can't walk straight there. You have to go through the patches, Scandinavia and all that before you get in there. Have you asked ourselves why players win the Goalkeeping title in Ghana and find themselves in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia and things of that nature, countries of that nature? And even when they get there, they struggle to thrive. Have we asked ourselves? But then when they are playing here, we hype them, we make them look like they are fit for every competition and all that. But when they get into the Black Stars, we see nothing. It's not coincidence that we've seen players blossom in the Ghana Premier League. The next period, they find themselves in lower tiers and all that in Europe. They need to work themselves up the radar. Sometimes we deceive ourselves and say, oh, this player can play in this, blah, blah. No! So, for instance, okay, so I have to put my point plainly. Efie Barnier is an attacker, right? He's been placed in the same squad. That we can't find a space for Joseph Pintel or Jeffrey Schlupp.
Or Afenejan.
That's a joke. That's a big joke. We have to be brutally honest and blunt.
Yeah, but
that's a joke. We are not doing anyone favors in the national team.
I think for Afenejan,
exactly.
I agree with him, but we will go to the Pintel bit because it seems he's the most talked about player, and it's because they say numbers don't lie, and we saw what happened in the AFCON. But my concern about Afenejan is what happened, because since Otto Addo took over, Afenejan has been his #1 striker. He played in the playoff against Nigeria. I think the AFCON qualifiers, we played how many games? Is it 2 or 3?
He played in both legs.
Yeah. In these 2 games, he was the starter. The game against Brazil, even when Inaki was available,
he was the starter.
Afenejan was still the starter. So what has happened that somebody like Antoine Semenyo is getting the nod over Afenejan is something that personally I do not understand.
Yeah. Look, Otto Addo can't preach morality. He can't come and be preaching morality to players.
Definitely.
You know, we are talking about football, and it entails a lot. Otto Addo can't say, I mean, from what he was saying, I know we are going to come to that. But before we even get to that, this is football. If you are preaching morality, then the likes of Balotelli and co wouldn't have made the Italian national team. It's about football. If players like Sule Muntari were managed,
everybody can be
managed. You understand? So you can't come and be saying, I mean, there are things behind the scenes and all that. We're talking about football. What the person can produce for the nation. And if you have the ultimate decision to make, and you put your interest first, I'm sorry.
Just as former Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia in opposition used to say, if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. This is GhanaWeb Mundial. The 26-man squad has been announced by Coach Otto Addo. But on social media, at the press conference, only one name comes up, and that is Joseph Pinto. 14 games for Genk this season, 6 goals, 8 assists. And by far, he was our best player in the AFCON that we exited embarrassingly. This is Mundial. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the questions that was raised at the press conference and the responses from Coach Otto Addo. Welcome back from the break. This is GhanaWeb Mundia. I know you have questions, a lot of them. So let me hear from you on our live stream. Hashtag GhanaWeb Mundia on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. I'll be reading it for you. I have a question. Ziga has a question, same with Frank Dakwa. And the journalists, our colleagues who are at the multi-choice office, also had a lot of questions to ask. But I think the people who were allowed were not more than 4 to ask questions. My questions are Afenejan. He was the first choice striker for Otto Addo ever since he took over. Nigeria, the 2 AFCON qualifiers, the game against Nigeria. I don't understand why Antoine Semenyo gets the nod over Felix Afenejan. There is also Joseph Pinto, our most informed winger. He has the goals, he has the creativity. You can talk about every other thing, but these players, they have certain things to show. There is also a question about Jeffrey Schlupp, but let's go on social media and read some of the reactions of Ghanaians. Then we come back into the studio. This one is from Kojo Immigration. We all know that we are going to play 3 matches and then we come home safe and sound. This one is from Like Mike. No amount of options will change the squad. These are our players fit to represent us. This one is saying let's support them. Definitely, we are going to support them because we can't go and support any other African country. We need to apologize to Nigeria for wasting their chance to shine. Leroy is saying that 25 out of 100. So he believes that the squad that has been announced, 25 out of 100. This one is we will lose all our group stage matches because he thinks that there are something. A team of average players, no danger man. That is Jack Sparr. Bra Ajay, I can't read about. He's trying to say he want to picture how Barbara Man will face Federico Valverde. A lot of, I think that we should calm down. Tempests are high. Some of the words we cannot use on TV. Nam. Ghana won't qualify from group stages. Ghana can't score 3 goals at the group stages. Ghana's best score will be a 4-1 in favor of Portugal. So why didn't we give 4 to 5 local players a slot so our local teams can get money? $10,000 a day. So European teams whose bench warmers, European teams who bench our players will get more money from our players, blah, blah, blah. So many forward, that should have been the number of midfielders. Failure. So them drop the Ransford guy too, that's someone asking. So a lot. And then Countryman Zongo is trending. Don't forget that Patrick Oseajiman said that Ghana against South Korea, Korea 3, Ghana 0. Ghana against Portugal, Portugal 4, Ghana 0. Uruguay 6, Ghana 0. So Zongo is also trending. Let's come back to GhanaWeb TV. GhanaWeb TV, Songo, yes. GhanaWeb TV, a lot of reactions. Let me read some for you then. I interact with my guest in studio. This one is saying that, so they ask you a question about why Pinto and the others were left out of the squad, and this is the response you give. This one is from Israel Zion. They ask you about Jeffrey and Pinto, and this is the answer you give. Otto Addo, we won't spare you soon after you drop out. This one is from KSNG. He's a hypocrite. He's a hypocrite talking about people not showing commitment. He just picked his favorite Soa. Soa has rejected a bunch of call-ups, refused to play in the qualifiers, but Schlupp showed up to the qualifier. I think in our first game against Ethiopia, Schlupp was part of this. So somebody is asking that. Otto Addo said off the field players who showed commitment, but we know that Soa refused call up for the Nigeria game.
No, if we want to be fair, you can't pull out the morality and commitment cards at this moment. No, because there are a lot of over 1,000 loopholes in this speech. You talk of commitment. Kamal Sowa at a point in time said he was not ready to play for the senior national team.
That's true. CK had corner time.
Yes, he rejected call up twice. So what are we making of
this? It's very some way, but let me. This one is saying that, and I've stated here that's the only reason why I like about Cristiano Ronaldo's interview. You won't wait to go out and then talk. So CK was in. We asked him this question. He said, "I am my own man." Now he's going from one media house to the other media house, telling us that they influences selection. This one is from Esuo Kofi Samuel. If only Otto Addo is saying that this squad is not influenced by anyone anywhere, let's just wish them well. Go Ghana, go Black Stars. Is there another keeper going aside Danlad? That is Mana of Nodin. A lot of reactions. It's crazy. Schlupp has been performing well, but he won't be going to the World Cup. Herbert is saying this one. Asemo, on December 3rd, now we are back home. This one is from Nana Otin. So a lot of reaction. Joseph Pinto, Schlupp, Afenijan, they are all dominating the discussion. But my colleague Emmanuel Enin, he was in town today, Kwame Nkrumah Circle, to interact with Ghanaians. He put together some reactions, how Ghanaians are reacting. Let's find out if the reaction on social media and on the street is the same. We'll be back after this.
Well, we are on the streets of Accra. We have circled together some reactions from some Ghanaians after the squad has finally been announced. So my name is Emmanuel Enin and you are watching GhanaWeb live on Facebook. So let me start with this gentleman. Around here, squad net Nyaba out. Now I'll show you this new when it's your own.
I'm even then the MC no man one no and I'm by and say second on over I think it's all the band but Christian managing way than the fee banner and I feel so Danlad Ibrahim. I think say we will set Danlad our fat Ghana your ranks team under 17, under 20, under 23, Black Meteors, local blaster BBNT. Say there's a blaster pop and I do so I think say we deserve and I go where you defenders now, a life of Salis Mohammed over the modern EP on you as compared to other players like the Soviet say Setavigo or Bonomodi, the midfielders, the life of I think say squad and I know the people I'm go for a car about players you want to make it to the squad, but every country there are things so many experience already lies from Brazil and Portugal, Moprano, Argentina one. On Messi players they are in every second. The first squad now things say okay and with my new one in the
team we are betting
oh, where your blasters now? Where countries now air corner? Your country be say Argentina, Portugal. Now, more some place for my boss since 2010. My bomb watching. But wait, I've been a year team. The team there, my expectation. What Cup ready and form. Wait, me Afro team. You have to do it for Afro. And yet, what Cup? I think say bye. You to advance from the group stage now because you had it. So I tell you about team now crying no. Any squad na airban new players no never will need the ass. Menjini say bit na group stage and
Alright, so he is satisfied with the names in the squad list, but his expectations are low regarding the quality we have at the Black Stars. What do you also think? Let me know in the comment section as I engage some Ghanaians on the streets of Accra. We are set for now. What's whom you are as also the near squad and players. Also, as someone a bit in
squad na the one no and I the near Jumpan, maybe near Jumpan, a lot near Fiabani idea. We just bring back the logo or league. That's why aside that the squad now good and your back. It's a squad and me, my expectation is you move to Ghana. You ever qualify, you have a group now who moves to Ghana. You better talk to a group. The expectation is
all right, so this man believes in the squad, and he says that now let me speak to this gentleman.
Coach, you know, I had the squad number. If you didn't say squad and not do my best, you don't problem back with an keep on do all I got to do. And before that, my auntie only and the end of the pound. Only the papa, no any problem. Seriously, yeah. How do you got to keep on only the problem? But since that, you know, the bonfire in Pavon better to Ghana anywhere, I am. And if I were better to my DJs, I said, oh, yeah, group will be to say. Oh, group now, you also the Becca say, I believe. Never go anymore. Yeah, never go anymore. The Bible is better so that you be our God first. Okay. The Bible better.
Okay. So he says he will be praying for the Black Stars, you know. So it seems the Black Stars people are satisfied with the names in the squad, and they are not complaining much about their players, and they are hopeful that the Black Stars will do something big at the World Cup. Let me also, one word or two. So we are still engaging some Ghanaians on the streets of Accra regarding the Black Stars call-up. Okay, let me engage this gentleman here. Squadless next to me about. I said, I'm a bit here.
Ghana for a Bonia for the Walla Cotoya. I'm up on a Chani in Nikipa. O'Brien Swa, one Kobe, Amosanka, and squad in the Almost deserve any from and when you're next 4 years.
Did you support the Black Stars?
Black Star and there.
Would you deserve it here?
I will, squad and all, squad with the problem of Mr. Monche. I'm a watcher, a different thing altogether. But I'm on Monche, but still now,
so this gentleman, the gentleman was talking about the Black Stars, and he believes that the team is on.
That was my colleague Emmanuel Enin engaging some Ghanaians on the streets of Accra. He wanted to find out how they are feeling after a 26-man squad was announced. Now, to the questions that was raised by our colleagues, journalists at the venue. And then let me read this and I'll ask this question. This one is official Dr. Kumsin. I am so disappointed in this coach. How can you find means to add this to Schlop? Imagine the number of attackers he should have dropped. He should have dropped Semenyo and added Schlop or Joseph Pinto. This husband and wife analogy is, you know, whose money are you going to spend in Qatar? Is it the taxpayer? And thus, it is the taxpayer, and thus accountability and transparency should be fundamental in the process. You have no justification to drop Joseph Pinto and Jeffrey Schlop from this squad. Frank, it was raised at the press conference. They say numbers don't lie. Ghanaians know what they saw in the AFCON. Joseph Pinto is not going to Qatar.
Yeah, as someone will say, born unim coach as supporters will say. Yeah. I mean, it's gone beyond you thinking you know tactics. I mean, nowadays, we all watch football. Everyone watch it. Even the little kid at home watch football. He knows the teams. He knows the players. And so if there are certain players in the squad, certain players who actually merit to be in the squad are actually missing, then we should raise questions. Yeah. I mean, with all due respect to so many, some of the players in the squad, But then you can't tell me the wingers who were named are better than Joseph Paintsil.
Bukari, Isahaku,
exactly.
Jordan.
You can't tell me they are better than Joseph Paintsil on current form. And some of these decisions actually, I mean, get a toll on these players. Because if the player sits back and he looks at the squad and feels, why am I not in the squad? Because he knows he's better than so many of these guys. Joseph Paintsil, Jeffrey Schlupp at Crystal Palace has been playing week in, week out.
It's one of their most important players.
And it's not as if he plays at one part. He plays at different various of positions. And this is a player we could have exploited. We could play him at left back. We could use him at defensive midfield. We could use him as offensive midfield at left wing. And if you have a player with such quality, why do you drop him? If you have a player like Joseph Paintsil, who is making the headlines in the Belgium league,
week in, week out.
Joseph
Paintsil, one of the top 10 leagues in Europe.
Exactly. He plays in the same league with Kamal Sowa. But he's making the headlines. He's being mentioned all the time. His team is currently top of the table. He's currently the second top scorer in his team, and he's not going to the World Cup. It's really sad. I feel sorry for some of these players. I really feel sorry for some of them. Afenejan, you rightly said. Antoine Semenyo and his Black Stars appearance.
And then I want us to state that it's not like somebody hates Antoine Semenyo or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Me, as I sit here, I've never met Afene before.
Never.
I don't know him. I'm not even sure that he knows I exist. But the issue I'm putting across is that Otto Addo was named as the interim head coach to take care of our playoff against Nigeria. Afenejan was making his debut. He started those two games in Accra and then in Abuja.
Yeah.
The two AFCON qualifiers we played in, I think, June.
Against Madagascar
and then Central Africa. Afene started in those two games.
He scored against Madagascar.
And he scored against Madagascar here. In our game against Nigeria, Inaki was available.
Yeah.
He still started Afenejan. It was only the Nicaragua game that Inaki started that game. So I'm just trying to put things together.
Yeah.
It's not like Antoine Semenyo is in some form
that's
like it's saying. Crazy.
That's what I'm saying. If you are talking club form, as of now, I always people always want to judge with club form. As of now, Semenyo barely starts at club level. He barely gets game time. He's normally coming from the bench. And even with the Black Stars, I mean, all his minutes he's played for Black Stars is less than 15 minutes.
15-10.
No, in total. Because in his debut against Madagascar, he came on to play the last 3 minutes.
Yeah.
He came on to play the last 3 minutes. And he played against, is it Nicaragua? He came off the bench to play in the last 12 minutes or so. And so his actual appearance with the national team is not more than 15 minutes. And you think that's enough to drop another player who we've seen him perform for the Black Stars, for a player who has actually played 15 minutes.
It's like the boys we've left out. It's like they've established themselves in the team this year.
Yeah, they've not put a foot wrong whenever they've been invited to the national team.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've all seen Afena in the national team.
It's really sad. Yes, Afenejan might not be having game time at
the same thing with Antoine Semenyo.
Same thing with Antoine Semenyo. Compare their performances at club national team. And it's evidence. So you can't tell me. I mean, there are so many loopholes in this squad that I mean, you can't always say. As Ziga said, you say you talk to a player. A question was asked posed to Otto Addo at the press conference as to why Schlupp and Joseph Paintsil. And he said they know the reason why they weren't called. That's enough. That's an answer to give journalists. They know the reason why they weren't called. The journalists want to know why, because we watch the game. We know how these guys are performing. And the journalist asks you why.
And it's not only us. That's why I stated earlier.
Every Ghanaians.
Gone were the days that we're only watching
on the English Premier League.
English Premier League. Now, because of investment, we don't watch every league. We know Ghanaian players who are performing week in week out.
You explained that one of your criteria in selecting your wingers is wingers who dribble and wingers who have speed. And you think the wingers you have now are ahead of Pencil in terms of this criteria.
Ability. And then
criteria, speed, Pencil doesn't fall in. Well,
it's just sad. It's just sad, you know.
He gave some explanations as to why Schlop and then Pencil won't be going to Qatar when Kojomo Mensah Moshocho asked that question. Are you impressed with the explanation he gave?
Absolutely not impressed with the explanation he gave, and I think that question wasn't dealt with. The answer he gave was he was trying a subtle jab at the players who were not called up. But then there's something that people should know out there, that you said you can't have a private conversation with a player and expect it to be in the public domain. Maybe you can't have a conversation with your wife and then expect it to be in the public domain. But you've forgotten that these players have managers. They have agents. They have friends. They have families. For instance, you come and tell me, unfortunately, I can't make the squad. And you expect me to keep my mouth shut. So even if that's the basis of your answer, of your selection or whatever you want to do with the selection, it meant you have already taken the decision on me.
Even before you call the player.
That's a non-starter. That shouldn't even be a case here. You understand? Yeah. So if you tell me, because some sort of information was out in the public domain and blah blah, that's the reason why you didn't select me, then I don't think you are making sense in any way. Because you inform me I'm not part of the plan.
I'm not going.
Exactly. So what informed that decision? Was it about quality? Was it about what I can do on the field? Was it about discipline? You didn't make all these things clear. So what do you mean by train such a subtle jab at the players? But in all these, it's a lesson. Let's not forget the upcoming generation are also looking beyond our shoulders. They are watching all these precedents. And I'll put on my journalistic shoes now and take us back to 2006, where the coach in question didn't make the AFCON 2006 squad. Was at the World Cup.
It was picked ahead of Baffour-Jan.
Baffour-Jan and then the likes. You see Chipson and the likes. The precedents we are setting now. If you want to go by it, you tell us, do unto others what you don't want others to do unto you. But you are doing the same to footballers. And this is the wrong world. This football space we find ourselves, it's really round and tricky and murky. Sporting directors are watching.
Are we sending the wrong signal to our players that your performance alone?
See,
doesn't pay.
That's the more reason why we have certain players retiring, quitting the national team. Alfred Duncan, as of now, has quit the national team.
This guy too.
Bernard Mensah quit the national team, and obviously it's looming. Schlop is going to quit the national team.
I think even for Schlop, if not for certain things that happened, he had decided not to come back.
Because
you literally went to beg him to come.
Schlop until recently had actually made his mind to say a goodbye to the national team. He wanted to concentrate on his club football. It took his agents
to intervene.
It took the Football Association to intervene, to actually talk to his agent, for his agent to intervene. His agent tries to convince him to come back to the national team or under national team call-up, he comes back and you do this. It's not as if he's been dropped on merit. That's the point. If he's been dropped on merit, that's fine. But this is the case. He's been dropped for reasons known to them. And so if I mean, we wake up tomorrow morning and we hear Schlupp announcing his retirement to the national team, it shouldn't be a shocker. Because this is the same player who actually missed the 2014 World Cup due to certain reasons. Yeah. Because in 2014, he was one of the best players we had at that time. One of the best left backs we could have actually taken to the World Cup. He missed that particular World Cup. I mean, for a player like Schlupp, who made his debut back in 2011, to have less than 20 caps for the national team is sad.
And he's playing
at club level, playing week in, week out. For him to make his debut back in 2011, how many years now? It's been like 11 years now. 11, 12 years now.
Yeah. We are in 2022, so it's 11 years
now. 11 years, and he has less than 20 caps for the national team. He himself feels we don't value him. Not when he's performing. He's performing, but we don't value him. And so, I mean, you could feel some of the frustration these guys go through.
People are saying a lot in the comment section, and then you can also keep tweeting us at hashtag GhanaWeb Mundia. Eziga, let me take your final words, and then we'll wrap the entire thing.
It's a huge kick in the teeth as far as.
But before that, how do we get these players to keep moving? Because one will say, after the World Cup, we will still play football. We have the AFCON to play for, because after the World Cup, we play 2 AFCONs before US 2026. How do we keep these players going so that we won't discourage them? So yeah, you add that to your final.
You know, there are a host of inspirational stories from players who have missed the World Cup and they've come back stronger than ever. A typical example is Leroy Sané, who made the 2018 FIFA World Cup. We saw how gutted he was, but fast forward 2022, he's in the squad and one of the mainstays in the German national team. You talk about, you know, players like Larry Kingston, who was by far one of the best players in his generation, but
who never tasted the
Mundial. And now he's doing really well as a coach or as a manager. You look at the former world best footballer, George Ponria, never had a crack at
the
World Cup. Abedi Ayew Pele never played in the World Cup. So you're not going to be the only player not to have tasted the World Cup. There's still 4 more years. As gutted as they may be, I mean, obviously, some of us who follow their game would know that justice should have been served. Know that it's part of football. It should rather make them stronger and a marker to, you know, prove a point going forward. Anything can happen. There's still a window until 24th of November. So our first game. So anything can happen. Just as injuries, you know, engulfed the team over the past few days, a lot could still happen. It's football, not just Ghana, but the other countries. So they should just keep their calm and always be ready. The decision is theirs to make, whether they're going to continue to play for the national team or not. They still need that time to process whatever has happened over the past few days, and we can only hope for the best for them. With regards to Team Ghana, it's still the country we've got, regardless of whatever situation they face or whoever is handling or handling it well. We've got one Ghana. We can only throw our support behind the team and then hope that at least we do something better. If not so, then there are no excuses.
Frank, let me take your final words.
Yeah, I think, as you guys said, I mean, it's rather unfortunate. I can feel for these players. I mean, those who couldn't make the squad is really unfortunate. But then that's how life is. Life sometimes hits you hard. It's the matter of you I mean, getting yourself together and focusing on your career, trying to push ahead, so that in any case, whenever you have the opportunity, you actually, make anyone, whether being a technical team or anyone, aware that yes, they made a big mistake, but actually overlooking you in previous call-ups and all that. Yeah. So I'm wishing the team the very best. We are Ghanaians. We are just looking forward to a good World Cup. In as much as it's going to be difficult, we just hope they go out there and deliver. Obviously, if they go out there and deliver, all these controversies and all that is going to die. So we are just looking out for, a good World Cup tournament.
We are just looking forward to a good World Cup tournament with a 14.1 million budget. Let me go through the squad for the last time before we bounce from the studio. 3 goalkeepers: Abdul Manav Nordin, Ibrahim Danlad, Lawrence Ati Ziggy will be our goalkeepers for the tournament. Thomas Partey, Elisha Owusu, Kudus Mohammed, Andre Dede Ayew, Abdul Salih Samed, Daniel Kofitre will be our midfielders. In defense, we have Tariq Lamte, Ali Duseidu, Dennis Odoy, Gideon Mensah, Abdul Baba Rahman, Salisu Mohammed, Daniel Amate, Alexander Jiku, and then Joseph Edu. Inaki Williams, Antoine Semenyo, Daniel Efriye Barnier, Osman Bukari, Jordan Ayew, Kamal Sowa, Isaaku Abdul Fatau, and then Kamal Dean Sulemana. They are our squad for the FIFA World Cup. I did this today with Frank Dakwa. He's a photojournalist accredited by FIFA, verified by Twitter. Yes, follow him and then you get all the updates on sports. And then I have I have Samuel Ziga, trained journalist from the Ghana Institute of Journalism, PR manager for Thomas Partey. A lot of the players, if your player needs a facelift in terms of communication, he's the one to go in for. I stated that he's an accredited and then trained journalist because, you know, sometimes people forget. Thanks very much, Ziga and then Frank. Hoping that we do this some other time when the tournament starts proper in Qatar. Thanks very much to the entire production crew, Mr. Kwame Ajaho, Hazel, and then Kwame Adom, Mr. Ahiale, the entire production crew, Abrantepa. Thank you very much. I'll be on the screens again on Friday as we do the Mundial, and then we continue the discussion on the 26-man squad. We have our men. Let's see if the men can do the job in Qatar. What we want as Ghanaians at the end of the day is to be happy because the country is hard. And if the Black Stars do not give us something to cheer as the Christmas approaches, it will be a very tough Christmas for Ghanaians. My name is Joel Eshen, and we will meet again on Friday. Until we meet, trust the process and be good.